The previous lecture, that was part 1 of the lecture on types of meetings, turned out to be quite long, that is longer than expected, even though I started out by announcing that it would be a short lecture. But I promise that this one is going to be quite a short lecture. So first of all, I'm going to discuss AGM, that is Annual General Meeting, and then next we're going to look at Extraordinary General Meetings. The first point to note is that unlike statutory meetings, which are required only by certain companies, specifically public companies that have a share capital, but an AGM is required for every company. But note that an SMC is an exception to this. So in other words, a single member company is not required to hold an AGM. So what exactly happens at an AGM? Well, this is an annual meeting through which shareholders get the opportunity to control the affairs of the company. So for instance, during this meeting, they may raise questions about the affairs of the company as to how the directors are running it, including of course having a look at its accounts. And essentially the purpose of this AGM is that it protects the interests of the shareholders. And generally speaking, the AGM is a very important meeting because a lot of important matters are usually considered during these meetings. So like I said, the accounts of the company are considered, but other than the annual accounts, other matters include, for example, the declaration of dividend, which is another very important matter, and of course matters regarding the retirement or any appointment of auditors. And of course, most important of all matters regarding the retirement and then the replacement of directors. And I'm going to discuss the appointment of directors in another lecture. But right now, I'm just mentioning the kinds of matters that are discussed in the AGM. Okay, and then certain important rules that you need to know regarding the AGM. First and foremost, this meeting must be held every year. Obviously, that's self-explanatory because the title, that is Annual General Meeting, should explain this. And another important point that you should know is that the first AGM, that is the very first annual general meeting, has to be held within 16 months of incorporation. And then subsequent AGMs have to be held once in every calendar year. And although these can take place anytime during that one calendar year, but remember that the AGM has to be held within 120 days of the close of the financial year of the company. So in short, the very first AGM has to be held within 16 months of the date of incorporation of the company, and then every subsequent AGM has to be held within 120 days of the closing of the company's annual financial year. And well, there are other points related to AGMs, but I'm only highlighting the most important ones. Okay, as regards the EGM, that is the Extraordinary General Meeting, this one is pretty simple. So all general meetings of a company other than the annual general meeting and the statutory meeting are called extraordinary general meetings. And the purpose of these meetings is simply that they are called when there is a need to deal or discuss some urgent special business that cannot be postponed all the way till the AGM. So certain matters that cannot wait have to be discussed urgently. They are discussed using the EGM, that is the Extraordinary General Meeting. And of course, there are certain rules once again and certain formalities as to who can call an EGM and how it can be called, but I'm not going to be discussing those. Because the main purpose of these short lectures was to provide you with an overview of the types of meetings and why they are conducted, that is their purpose. And I've already highlighted the key points in this short lecture.